Hi everybody and welcome back to my next episode of my Red Dead Redemption playthrough. I want to get into the juicy stuff today. We're going to get serious. I want to start talking about my thoughts on the gang members. So I don't know if I'll do them all today, but I'm definitely going to try and weave some of that in while I'm exploring. Because that's the big one. That is the big one. But I feel like that's going to be... I don't know why I've been the most excited to talk about, like really talk about them now I've seen them from start to finish. I know I've mentioned some as I go, but yeah, from first impressions to development to potentially deaths, or how they changed and dealt with how things ended up being. I don't have a plan. I've not premeditated on what I'm going to say. I'm just going to go through my list from least to most favourite, which I did before. So we're going to start with Micah, which is already a big one, and just go through them. So that's going to be the meat of today's episode, but we are going to be doing some exploring. I think I'm still going to stick around West Elizabeth a bit, do some more exploring bounties until we get this Evelyn Miller mission moved along a bit, which I'm hoping can scoot forward a bit more. So anyway, let's crack on and we'll just see what happens. We'll see if this book Evelyn Miller writes is worth it. Oh, I shouldn't complain so much. It's looking after a friend. Morning, Joan. Lovely day on the farm. I really want to properly get exploring New Austin, but I won't while Evelyn needs our support. I might pop into Blackwater actually. I'll see if I can find Gavin. No. Nigel. But I'll grab a bounty while I'm here. Because why not? Because we can. Also, thank you for everybody's comments about me trying to sleep in the bed back at Beach's Hope. I now know I can toggle the option, so it is possible to sleep in my own bed, which is nice. But I'm really curious about the cutscene, because apparently it initiates a small cutscene. And we don't get many of those these days, so yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. Hello, Blackwater. I only live over the hill, but I don't tend to visit often. He was down this way, but he's not always here. Who knows what town he could be in? I assume he only sticks to towns as well.
Mister.
Howdy. No, I don't think today is Blackwater on his schedule.
Just real shitty. Hang in there.
How are you keeping?
Oh,
Blackwater, step right up.
I need to read the newspaper as well.
What is this all about?
I was buying so many newspapers every time I saw them. In the epilogue. And I never actually read them, so I could have found out where Rev was, but I didn't actually read them. I'm guessing I have to go inside? Ooh, that was weird.
You look like an honest enough feller.
Oh yeah, I'm
If I can
honest.
interest you in bounty work, the poster's on the wall.
Not done an illegal thing in my life. Elias Green. The police department of the city of Blackwater will pay $90, a $90 reward, for the apprehension or death of Elias Green. Wait, is he the guy who was in the pub in Valentine? He is wanted on warrant for murder and mutilation of 6 settlers near Manzanita Post. He is a member of the Skinner Brothers gang and is considered extremely dangerous. Last seen in the Great Plains area. Green is stocky and wears animal skins, bear hat, and buckskin shirt. Send all information promptly using telegraph if necessary to O. Dunbar, Blackwater Police Department. I think he's a different man. I think more than one person in this country wears animals on their head, so I don't think he's the Valentine guy. Although the Valentine guy was talking about really brutally killing people, and I can't remember, like, wearing their skins or something really disturbing. Okay, I'm always happy to take down a Skinner brother person. Put away.
It's a sorry situation with them mongrel dogs, the Skinner brothers. Just when you thought this country had been civilized. You hear what they done up near tall trees? Might be where to look for them, if you can stomach it. I don't think you'll be bringing him in alive, but sure as hell I'd love to spit in his eye before he hung.
The mountain country's full of Skinner brothers. You tell me why this one, Elias Green's got a warrant on him.
I'd send you after every last one of them jackals if I could. Reason this one's got his picture up is the mayor signed off on it. That's that.
Fair.
What did he do?
He perpetrated or was one of the perpetrators of a massacre. Party of 6. Killed and then some. We have his name, we have his likeness. You have his warrant.
I do. I'll see about him, sir. Oh, thanks for the information.
You gotta bring that one in stiff, then so be it. Just bring him in is all.
Okay, I'm going to try and do better this time. I'm going to try and not run into the whole camp and kill everybody.
Good girl. Let's go.
Right, where are you, Mr. Green? Ooh, that's a bit close for comfort. I don't like that. That's right by my house.
Buenas tardes, señor.
What the? Oh!
my leg.
Oh, that's not a dog. Okay, we need to be quick about this.
Not now.
Oh, good girl. Thank you for not throwing me off this time. I was like, why is there a really angry dog? You'd think I'd know by now, wouldn't you? I wish I was a brakeman on a hurtling beaver train, crashing headlong into the heartlands like a cannon in the rain, with the beating of the sleepers and the burning of the coal. Is it though? You don't look very Skinner brothery. You look very normal. Maybe it's not them. Oh, to be honest, it's up there. I think that's just a normal person I almost killed. These things happen. Oh, there's a camp. Oh! Is that a burning person? Because that's a big old giveaway. Oh, damn it. Oh wait, I have binoculars. Oh, don't worry. Go away. I've got binoculars. Yeah, that's got to be them. Okay, I think we've got him. Oh, we need to investigate it. All of that faff. Oh, I feel like he's gonna jump out at me though. I don't like this.
Jesus. Who'd do a thing like this? Hello?
Shh.
Not here.
Don't yell for him. I mean, I've seen them do worse, to be honest. I guess I can't search you, can I? There's gunshots.
shit.
He was happy with our work today.
This one's still breathing. All the better. Hold him.
Please, please let me go.
The lucky one. Trying to take me, is you? Come on! So long!
So long.
Seems
Okay.
I got me a wriggler.
I'll cut you. I swear I will.
Hey, John.
They wait for you.
Is that it? Oh, nope. Okay, loot him, yes.
My sense is it would be rude not to rob you.
I think that went quite well.
Here we go. Let's get you up.
I'm gonna bite you.
You better damn not. That was a nice hat you was wearing.
I'll make you into a hat, mister.
I would love to see you try.
Have a bit of upcycling. Right, bear with me. Oh no, your hat fell off. Oh dear, what a shame. Okay, I think that went jolly well. Let's get you
One
back
more
to the
time.
sheriff. Oh, it's already given
There
us a
you
nice
go.
little route.
Now let's get you to Blackwater.
How you feeling up there? It ain't a smart man turns his back on me. I'm gonna kill you. I could cut you anytime, mister.
Crack on.
I know when I should stay out.
You got a wife somewhere? You smell like you got a lady. I'd sure like to meet her, feller. Think you could fix it so we're introduced? You ever
Nice
felt
guy.
pain, mister? Real pain? Screaming, crying, begging pain? I will put you to a fire, have you praying for your death. Eyes all white, mouth quivering. I get you. You're gonna suffer, mister. Suffer! You think they want me alive? They won't know what to do with me. The judge gonna let me go so I can come and find you? They want me dead and buried and all forgotten about.
Oh, he's a noisy one, isn't he? See why the sheriff wanted to spit in his eye. Oh, just look at that. Here, have a look. Elias, whatever your name is. Isn't that gorgeous? Have a look, because it might be the last one you see. Wow. That's so pretty. Reminds me of our proposal.
Here we are. Blackwater Police.
Right.
Morning. Time flies.
Come on, Green. Let's get you inside.
God damn it! I'll bite you!
Yeah, yeah. Well, got you that Skinner brother. Elias Green.
Set me down.
Elias Green as I live and breathe.
God damn it.
Put him in a cell.
You ain't got a rope strong enough for me, Sheriff.
Justice will be done and done quick. Lock him up.
Can I get paid?
That man ain't worth spit. But here's what we're paying for him.
You don't mean that, do you, Chief?
Mm-hmm.
Lucky we got time for me to change your opinion.
Quiet, boy.
All the things to keep glitching out. That's a check, I think. Okay.
Your money's right here. Don't go forgetting it.
It's not. So teasing.
Hey, let's
Um,
go, girl.
Okay. We've done a bounty. We couldn't find Gavin. What have we got going on at Strawberry? Strawberry doesn't have a bounty. Valentine does not have a bounty right now, I don't think. And that's kind of this area. So, okay, we won't do any more bounties for the time being. I still need to get some stuff for Uncle. Oh, didn't I need a skunk for Uncle? I think I might have done. I should have got that skunk while I had it. Let me just remember, because I always get skunks mixed up with raccoons. No, it was a skunk that I saw. They're like roughly the same size, maybe. Like a small, large critter. And they're black and white, and I'm just very easily confused. Yeah, I might look at what Uncle needs and see if we can go and get some of that. And maybe I'll start talking about the gang members. Okay, Micah Bell. When I first met him, he seemed mean. Hence the nickname I gave him right at the start, Mean Micah. My impression pretty much stayed that way throughout the whole game. With the exception of how he was towards Dutch. That showed, I mean, I now feel like that was fake, but that did show me a side to Micah that I didn't see before. You know, he actually looked up to someone rather than seeing himself at the top. And I guess that was the only time I've ever seen him be even slightly humble. And yeah, although now I kind of feel like that was just sucking up to Dutch as part of his like manipulation. There was a time when I thought, oh, maybe I've been too harsh about Micah, or maybe it's all just tough on the surface, but deep down he is actually a good guy. Was in that moment when I saw him kind of trying to have a quiet word with Dutch, going, oh, I really admire you, and like I really look up to you, and I think you're great and stuff. I don't think he was as simple and black and white as went in to betray them, was just a rat. That's it. I think there was actually, oh, that's not good condition. I think there was actually quite a bit to his intentions. And I think it was quite fluid. I think it changed a bit throughout. I might wait for a moment while this storm passes, because I don't know how well you can hear me. And I don't want to go on narrating my thoughts on Micah and then find that none of it really gets picked up. We found that newspaper clip of his father, and I think it was him. They'd done a murder, I think. I'm trying to think. Was it people who'd given them refuge and they killed them or something? Anyway, it very much seemed like his father had that whole survival of the fittest, you know, it's kill or be killed. you know, natural selection kind of attitude to life, was just a bit of a thug. Clearly didn't have much of a moral compass, or much of a conscience, and just kind of, yeah, much like we were, he seemed like an outlaw, but just solo. And I guess Micah and his brother were raised. We don't know much about Micah's mum, but we definitely know that Micah looked up to his dad, and his dad seemed to be raising them to, like, that was the example that his father was setting, was that, you know, stuff like this is the way the world works, and it's okay, it's all about survival. You know, if you are too afraid, or you feel like it's wrong or bad or evil, then you're weak, and you'll be the one who's victimized by people doing this. So, you know, it's your choice. You can either be the one doing it to people or be the one having it done to you, kind of thing. So I feel like, to an extent, unfortunately, Micah has just been conditioned that way. That's how he was taught the world works, and that's how he's continued to live his life. But, you know, he's an adult, and I don't think it's all nature. I don't think it's all nurture either. I feel like he was unfortunate to have been given that start to life and that perspective in his most impressionable years. But he could have changed his mind growing up and thought, oh, there is kindness. Oh, I've got nice people around me. Maybe things aren't all that bad and evil, and... That's a lot of dead people. What? Oh my gosh. Why are they all wearing stripy trousers and B? Did they have, like, baseball back in these days? Why did they have sacks over their heads? Oh, this screams Skinner Brothers. Why did they draw a face on that one? What does this mean? It looks like a team of some kind, or they're all wearing the same kind of clothes. Was it baseball or basketball or badminton? Does anybody know? Let me know in the comments if you know what that is about, because I don't think there's any clues. But this might be a, you know, tip of the hat to something historically. Oh, they've written a B with it. I thought they just chucked limbs randomly, but... So they're wearing uniforms with Bs, which wouldn't have been the Skinner Brothers. I imagine they've already had that on. But people who I can only assume are the Skinner Brothers, because it's their region and it's that level of disturbing. They've killed them all, dumped them all in a pit, delimbed some of them, and written a B. Okie dokie then. Where was I before that? Yeah, so I feel like on one hand it's not Micah's fault that he grew up a bit messed up and a bit cold and heartless and mean. But I also think we can't entirely blame his father for him being the way he was. He had multiple opportunities to grow and develop as a person and change and gain new perspective. All of the opportunities were there. I mean, we know the gang that he was with. You know, there's some really lovely, kind people who could have shown him, broadened his mind, but he stayed the way he was. And that was his choice. From what I can remember, he joined us a couple of months before the game starts. So he was there before the Blackwater incident. And I think he met Dutch in a bar. I will give him this. He is a good fighter. You know, he is very skilled in combat. So Dutch probably thought we can use all the guns we can get. Micah saw this as a great opportunity to get money. And again, I don't think he cares who he tramples on to get there, but I think he's looking for his own self-interests. You know, to get rich or get successful or get good gear, you know, whatever makes him better or feel more accomplished. So I think it was a mutual thing. I think Dutch was happy to share out the money a little bit more for somebody like Micah on the team, which was, I think, a huge asset to them. Okay, so my thoughts are Dutch recruited Micah for the Blackwater mission. Micah was up for it because it seemed like a good way to get some money. I think Dutch was possibly a wanted man before the Blackwater mission. That just made him a very wanted man. I think that Micah either went to the authorities because he knew that Dutch was already wanted, and this would be a good trap for him. Or just because regardless of whether Dutch was already wanted or not, like the authorities would probably pay for good information like this when there was going to be a heist or a robbery or something to try and intervene and intercept it. I think he thought that the Blackwater mission would fail, he'd be granted immunity and allowed to live because he was like the inside man. However, I don't think anyone apart from the gang expected it would be pulled off, and although it wasn't a complete success, I think Micah and the authorities didn't expect the gang to get away, mostly get away, and to also get away with the money and manage to stash it somewhere that was out of reach from the authorities. And the bank, I thought that they'd managed to get it off of the gang and then take the gang in, but unfortunately they managed to stash it somewhere. So it wasn't in the gang's reach anymore, but it was no longer in possession of the gang or the authorities or anything. And then I think Micah saw a new opportunity because that was a lot of money that I think he thought was out of reach, like he wouldn't be able to get it. But I think now that it was stashed somewhere, he thought he'd hold off on turning Dutch in because potentially he could get that money before he did it and then also turn Dutch in and then get more money. So I think that's why he had Dutch's wanted poster, and I think he did plan to turn him in. However, he held off on going straight to the authorities and instead kept telling Dutch that they should go back for the money, and you know, he was saying that the whole way through. So yeah, I think he planned to do that. He saw that Arthur and Hosea and John were a threat to his plans. We were Dutch's innermost circle, and he really listened to us and took our advice, especially Hosea, but I feel like Micah wanted to have Dutch listen to him so he could manipulate Dutch and get Dutch to fall for his plan to go back and get the money and then get him turned into the authorities. And Arthur, John and Hosea were standing in the way of that, and I think that's why Micah tried to, when he realised just straight up talking about going to get the money from Blackwater wasn't working, I think that's why he started to try and suck up to Dutch and get close to Dutch, and then eventually start spreading crap about Arthur and how he can't be trusted. And he could see, I mean, anyone could see that Dutch was a paranoid person, was very paranoid about loyalty or betrayal, and I think Micah saw that and played on that, and then talked about how, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was like how we're, unloyal to Dutch or trying to do our own thing, or, we don't respect him and stuff. So, obviously the Pinkertons are a bit different to the lawmen, and we started our headbutting with the Pinkertons after we took on Cornwall's train, after the game had started. So I think at first Micah wasn't really too involved in that. They were at the Saint-Denis bank robbery though. That wasn't just lawmen, that was, can't remember if it was Milton or Ross, where he killed Hosea. And they said that seemed like a setup. The trolley mission in Saint-Denis seemed like a setup. But I think that might have been Angelo Bronte, his involvement. The Saint-Denis bank though, Bronte was dead by then. It was the Pinkertons who showed up and not the lawmen. But it was before Guarma, and the Pinkertons said they picked up Micah when he came back from Guarma. So I don't know if maybe he'd already gone to the Pinkertons by then and told them about it, because Molly was interrogated, but apparently never said a thing about the bank robbery. I think that was all Micah. So at some point Micah's obviously gone to the Pinkertons, maybe when things were getting a bit too hot and he wasn't, you know, things were going downhill, and it didn't look very promising for us. I think Micah was still sticking around for that just purely because of that Blackwater money, and it was worth sticking around for. I think to try and cover his own back, he went to the Pinkertons, because they found us as well at Clemens Point. They didn't seem to know quite where we were when we were at Horseshoe Overlook. They just knew the rough area, but I mean, even Mary figured out roughly where we were, so I don't think it takes a detective. So yeah, maybe around Clemens Point, when things started to go south, maybe he went to the Pinkertons then, told them where our camp was, told them when we were planning the bank robbery in Saint-Denis, and then obviously when we came back from Guarma. I think he had a few different, I think his plan was ever changing, but he was always thinking of how to maximize his gain from the situation and how to save his own skin when it looked like, things were getting pretty tough for us as a gang. I think he was trying to sever the connection between Dutch and Dutch's closest, most trusted advisors and friends, and trying to squeeze his way in there. He was trying to put a wedge between us and then fill that gap himself, so Dutch would be looking to him, and then he'd have full control over what Dutch did and the way things went. So I think it was more than just a simple rat. I think he was a very calculated, selfish person, but in his mind I think it's almost like life's a game and it's all about how you play it, and if you want, he always said there's winners and losers and nothing else, and he was born and raised with that mindset that you need to be a winner or otherwise you'll be a loser. That's how his father raised him. His brother quit the game and went to go and settle down in a nice town in California or somewhere, and he was slating his brother for being weak, and he always had that mentality of, you're a winner, you take things from others, you're the top dog, you trample on others to gain, or you're going to be a loser and people are going to trample on you to gain and take things from you. And he was so black and white, and I don't think there was any in between for him. I think he was just very survival of the fittest, and he admired his father, lived up to his father's way of life, disliked when his brother probably was raised the same but then saw life in a different light as he grew up and fell in love and turned his back on his criminal ways, and Micah was still trying to live that way. The whole way through this game, I think he's had that mindset. And even at the very end, it was like, we did it, Dutch. He's standing over Arthur's dead body. Our whole gang has disbanded. Everything's gone horribly wrong, everything's been ruined, and he's like, yes, we did it, Dutch, because he had survived, he could get the money, and to him it's all about him and it's all about winning, and he doesn't care who he tramples on or who has to lose so he can win. And yeah, even at the end, that's what he was saying, you know, we did it, Dutch, we won, without really seeing the collateral damage that's been done to get him there. So that's my thoughts on Micah. I still think he looks like an oversized beaver. I know I already touched on this last episode, but I think he was such a good character, and there was so much going on in the background. If you piece it together, you can see a timeline of his thought process and what he was probably planning to do, and how that evolved and changed as our situation evolved and changed. I think he was quite a complex character in that regard. Even down to calling Arthur names and stuff. I mean, sticks and stones, right? But I think we've all at times in our lives been in a situation where an older sibling or someone at school or someone at work has jabbed at us or called us names or picked on us or bullied us. And I think because you're playing Arthur, I think Micah's name calling, and you know it's not in a... Like, Shaun would name call Arthur, you know, to call him English and stuff as a joke, but there was more of like a brotherly love between him and Shaun, I think. You can tell with Micah, he's just being an asshole about it. I think it's almost playing on the feelings that the player's probably going to have being put back in a situation where there's this big thuggish bully type person calling them names. I think partly that is they're putting that in because they don't want you to like Micah. So the name calling and the teasing and making you feel mocked or inferior, or I think the fact that he's talking about you behind your back and spreading like lies to the other gang members about you, that can probably trigger the player a bit, because again, I'm sure we've all been in situations where people have talked about us behind our back or said not very nice things to people who, you know, we care about and we want to like us. I think the sort of taking Dutch away, like we really felt that more in chapter 6 at the end, when Dutch was like, oh, me and Micah are going to go and check something out. No, you stay here. Whereas before you were always there. Or involved, or it was, oh, me and Micah are planning something, but we can't tell you. So again, having like a friend or a close companion taken away from you by someone else. And again, people probably have experienced some kind of disappointment or jealousy, or that feeling of someone swooping in and then taking away someone who they had a bond with. I think there's all of these things went into making Micah a really unlikable character. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but yeah, I just feel like Micah, there were so many layers to all the different things that would make you not like Micah. You know, Rockstar don't know who's playing it, they don't know who you are as an individual, but these are very relatable things for a lot of people that will often bring up negative emotions or negative connotations. So yeah, I think they were working on a balance between him being as unlikable as possible, but also real and fleshed out and relatable. Which, yeah, delicate balance, but they pulled it off. They did it very well. I hate him. I can't stand him. So, but it's not like one of those evil, I'm going for world domination people who just don't feel real. Let's see if he's still alive.
I brought you some food, Mr. Miller.
Curtains are closed.
What's that smell?
Oh no, don't be dead.
Mr. Miller! Oh, shit. Crazy bastard.
What?
When I'm done, just burn me. I want to soar in the air with the eagles, not rot in the ground with the worms.
Evelyn Miller.
But I fed him! I was keeping him going. Did I take too long? Oh no, why? America? Do the treatise on the wild. How long is this? I'm all for story time with Jojo, but... Okay, I can read it. I was about to say, if this is an actual book, that's for another time. Okay, let me have a drink, and then we'll get started. To even consider America as an ideal, a place, an integer, is to constrain it with the ideas of the European. I am European, or at least of European descent. I am a writer. People used to pay me to think, or perhaps not to think, but to pretend to think in the correct manner. I worked at a university, those god-awful places where we send our best and brightest to boil themselves and to prevent too many original thoughts emerging. I ran away. I ran mostly because I am a terrible coward, but also in part because I was searching for something. In this way, I was both vain and a coward. Maybe I should never have left the university. Here I am, deep in the wilderness, living like a half-cooked hermit, like a truly sightless seer, and still I search, and still I do not quite find. Have I, and those countless fops born into lives like mine across the East Coast and the Middle West, and the genteel parts of the South, been forever ossified, like so many generations of Europeans before us, into men that are at once not men? Mutate us into thinkers who can never quite think, for we have been denuded of our ability to feel. Was this the method by which the serpent and the apple removed us from Eden? Not by letting us see, but by allowing us to think and thereby forever stopping us feeling. I am almost entirely consumed by my doubts. Yet there is within me still a tiny spark that tells me it is possible. This land makes it possible. The chance of absolution. Absolution from the European hell of thought, and back to the Eden in which man can live as a sentient, yes, but above all, as sensate, as a creature of God alive in this world. This world, pure, not clouded by idiocy, not imagining himself as God as so many of us are forced to do, but happy as a child of God. But still my thoughts come upon me like wolves. My needs swamp me, my desires overwhelm me. It is not mortality I now fear, but its opposite. That idiot's part of me that attempts to convince me I am above moral concerns. The foolish part of man that tells me he is immortal. That tells him, that whispers like the serpent, that seduces like the apple, that charms like Eve, that tells him he is God. I am not God. In this truth I will find my absolution. I shall be set free. The trees and the wolf's howl and the dance of the raindrops shall set me free. My lord, but this is utter tripe. Yet there is something there. I know there is. I pray now only for the talent to make this some kind of sense. Oh, the lot of the fool who aspires to more. Ours is the most humiliating of burdens. Wow, okay. That was a lot of words, and what I got from that is if you think too much, you don't feel enough. Humans are delusional and have convinced ourselves that we are playing God, but we're actually not. We're part of nature, and that's cool. And Evelyn hoped that by just being part of the cycle he could be set free. I really don't know though. Maybe I've misinterpreted. Let me know. I can't believe he's dead. Oh, Evelyn. Was there a way for him to not be dead? Because I left that... Silly, shouldn't have died in just a day. While I was talking, I think I've waited like half a day while that Evelyn Miller thing's popped up. Like a... Not more than a day though. I'm gonna take your watch, Evelyn. Cool that you can see it like burn and disappear. Too soon to go in? Oh, it doesn't let me. Oh, okay. An invisible wall now. Goodbye, Evelyn. I really hope it wasn't because I took too long to feed him. You know what that means, though?
Do, girl.
We can now leave West Elizabeth and start exploring further south. Let's head. Let's get down to business. Let's go explore the rest of New Austin. Or uncover the rest of New Austin. So next is Strauss. I obviously didn't like him. He was right near the bottom of my list. The only person who he beat was Micah, which doesn't say a lot. I didn't really see any character development from him whatsoever throughout the story. You know, what you got near the start was pretty much what you got the whole way through. I didn't speak to him much. I didn't hear him in too many conversations apart from people being mean to him really, and you know, I don't think Dutch liked him, but I think Dutch let him join us because he made us a good amount of money, even though it wasn't in the nicest way. I think he was, to Dutch, just a good investment financially. You know, we were after money. He was happy to come along, and yeah. I think that's the only reason he was with us. I don't know why Strauss wanted to be with us. Why he didn't just go and become like an accountant or a banker somewhere. Hello? Yeah, he didn't really seem like the outlaw type, but maybe it's because of how he worked and the things he did. Maybe normal banks wouldn't let him get away with that. Oh, there's rats everywhere. well, no one's been here for a while. Okay, rats. It's cool that there's loads of rats and you can see they've broken into like a barrel of grain. Cool detail. Is that a bowl of something? No. Okay, there's a bed. Doesn't really look like there's any food left after the rats have had it all. Probably wouldn't be very hygienic to eat food with this many rats around anyway. Yeah, maybe normal banks and stuff wouldn't like his very cold, irresponsible way of money lending. So maybe he saw it as a way that he could make more money by working with us. And I think Dutch just kept him around because, you know, he did, it was a horrible way to do it, but he did make a lot of money doing that. But I think he was always pressing on the nerves of the gang, and yeah, causing a bit of friction in terms of us morally, because our whole thing seemed to be we'd rob from the rich, but we'd leave the poor alone. We'd rob from the rich and the deserved, people who deserve to be robbed from, basically. And some of the people that Strauss lent money to seemed to fit that bill. Some people, you know, the Downs family, like, why? That's, if we're not gonna rob from the poor physically, why are we doing it with money lending? And I think that might be what sort of was rubbing people up the wrong way in the gang, because it went against our sort of our rule, our like where we'd drawn that line. I did feel bad for Strauss when we kicked him out of camp. The only one time I've ever felt bad for him. And really that was because, oh, I can go down there. Can I go down there? Oh no. It's the other side of the river. Oh, you can. I need to figure out a way to get down there though. Looks like there's a road here. I mean, I get that Arthur was mad, and I understand why after having just seen that woman, now a single mother looking after her boy. I kind of get the impulsive getting him out of camp, but I kind of wish I'd given him until morning so he had a chance to gather his things and say goodbye, or even giving him just like 15 minutes, you know, just so he can say goodbye to everybody and pick up his stuff. But he literally like chucked some of his stuff into Strauss's arms and then pushed him out of camp. And Strauss, you know, one minute he's chilling at night having a cuppa and going through his book, and then the next minute he's homeless at night in a land full of Murphy brood. Didn't get a chance to pass on any farewells to the gang. I don't know who in the gang cared about him, if anyone, but you know, it's nice to just have the closure and say goodbye. Actually, there were 2 times where I felt a bit bad for him. The other time was when we'd found out, retrospectively, that he'd been interrogated, caught and interrogated, and...
Whoa, easy. You got this, girl.
Oh, I didn't see that. And even after everything we'd done to him, or like after having kicked him out and, you know, said he's not one of us anymore, he still, to the very end, kept his silence and didn't give anything away. He stayed loyal to the gang up to that point, which I actually thought was kind of sweet. I still didn't like him as a person, but I thought that was actually very admirable, and yeah, I was surprised but also quite touched by that.
You got a funny idea of fun, amigo.
Oh, it's them. Oh, hold on, let me get my horse. We're going for a ride, my dear. Okay, let's see if we can't catch him. Chase him down. No, I think they've gone. Okay, never mind. That would have been really cool, have like a horse chase. I'm gonna go check out that place. So yeah, that's me on Strauss. Not much really to say. I didn't like him, but like with every character in this game and in life, like none of them are perfect, but none of them are all bad either. Even the really like horrid ones. Are you that dirty? Let's brush you.
Brush
Like
it
a brown
off.
horse. Look at those socks suddenly appear. Oh, Rachel, there you go.
Hello, girl.
You literally look like a different horse now. Next. So those are the two characters, the only two characters I would say I genuinely didn't like. Not in terms of how they're written, they're great characters, but in terms of how I emotionally felt about them as people.
Damn, I'm all out of shot.
Bill is the next one I liked the least, but I did actually... Oh, my feelings for Bill are so mixed. I don't like him, but I don't really dislike him. Somebody actually in the comment section of one of my videos summed it up quite perfectly. That Bill's almost like a big loping puppy. He doesn't really think for himself. He's very obedient, very loyal. He's almost like only got eyes for, like in the same way a dog only has eyes for his like master or his human. It's like Bill's only got eyes for Dutch, and like doesn't, if somebody else challenges Dutch, they're wrong because his person is always right and always good and always knows what to do, and anyone who goes against that is bad and wrong, and it's like a very single-minded, very narrow-minded approach. Look at all these cactuses. Cactuses? Cacti? Somebody also put in the comment section that sometimes when you come across buildings like this that are all boarded up or that, you know, don't seem to have a purpose, you know, they don't come up in any quests or missions or bounties or anything, but likewise you can't get into, that sometimes they're the moonshine shacks from online. I think mine, I've just got mine online, and I think it's in the Heartlands somewhere. And I've been to the one in the bio as well, in Lemoyne. I don't know where any of the others are, so maybe this is one from the desert? In which case, I'm tempted to move because this scenery is lovely. And I can't imagine it's very busy down here. Yeah, otherwise I've got no idea what that's about. So yeah, back to Bill. You know, he's not the smartest, he's not the quickest, he's not the most talented, he's not the most charismatic, and I think he knows that he's got quite a lot of shortfalls compared to the rest of the group. But I do think that where he can be the more dominant one or have an advantage over somebody else, I think he kind of seizes that opportunity. He's a bit brutish, a bit of a bully in that sense, because I think he doesn't often get to feel like the top dog. You know, he's normally way down the pecking order near the bottom. You can see how frustrated he feels that people don't trust him, or that, you know, people don't trust him to pull off a plan by himself correctly or successfully. The camp was quite divided into the people who stayed in the camp like the girls, Rev, Uncle, Strauss, and the guns, like Micah, Arthur, John, Bill, Javier. And of that group of the fighters or the guns, Bill was at the very bottom of the pecking order. You know, he's a big guy, but I think he was just outskilled and outbrained by the others. I think when Kieran was brought back,
Whoa now.
I think Bill absolutely loved the having the you know, Kieran's hands were literally tied behind his back. He couldn't do anything. And I think Bill loved like throwing his weight around, and you know, there was finally somebody around who was beneath him, and because Kieran was at the time considered an O'Driscoll, he loved having somebody who he could just hit and bully and torment with no consequences. Like, he'd never get away with doing that to Arthur or John. We'd put him in his place very quickly. But yeah, I think because Kieran was seen as like the enemy, like no one cared what happened to him, no one was going to defend him. He couldn't defend himself. Yeah, and I think Bill was a bit of a brute and a bit of a thug in that sense. Ooh. Prairie Poppy. I think he had low self-esteem. You know, he's always been the stupid, thick, idiot one of the group as far as everybody was concerned, and he knew that. And I think he wanted respect, and he wanted praise and to be recognized, you know, to be seen as competent and useful and talented as the rest of the group. And I think it ate away at him, like it would with anybody, that he was always like, oh, Bill's messed it all up again, trust Bill, Bill's always messing stuff up. And I think that really kind of, that teasing and constant reputation for being incompetent and being clumsy, that's not nice for anyone to go through. I think to Bill, Arthur was like someone he looked up to and admired and respected, and maybe even like wanted to be like, or at least, you know, be as good as. And like I said before, I think Dutch was his, like, he was the leader, he was the good person, the right person, the person we'd follow to the end. Again, he's quite black and white about it, I think. I think for Bill it was a bit heartbreaking that the person he was gonna follow without question to the very end, and this someone he looked up to like a big brother, and always thought would be around and aspired to be like, and you know, when Dutch and Arthur went two different ways and now Bill had to choose, I think he hated it. I think he found it quite heartbreaking that his like family were splitting apart and he had to choose a side. I don't think he liked that at all. And I think you could tell that with what he was saying to Arthur in sort of the later chapters. That if Dutch said he had a plan, then Dutch has a plan, and why can't you just believe that, and why can't you just be loyal? Like, why are you doing this? I think that was like how Bill was feeling. Because he is, the person who commented on my video is right, he is like a big puppy. So I don't like that Bill was a bully to Kieran. You know, anyone should be able to see that that wasn't right. But apart from that, I do quite like Bill. I feel sorry for him. You know, he did have quite a tough time with the gang. He was,
easy now.
He was very often the brunt of our jokes. You know, we got a lot of laughs at his expense all the time. And again, a lot of people have been in that situation. It's not nice. Hello?
Hey. Hello? How'd we end up here, huh?
Oh, yeah?
Stay strong.
Bye, then.
Okay.
Don't take any chances.
Oh no, it's the Del Lobos!
You're okay. You're okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, that's all I need. See you later, girly girl. Oh, another wagon's moving. So, the next one is Rev Swanson. Yes, I'm going to try and do this while I'm fighting. Don't know how this is going to go. I think... I didn't have as much to say about Rev, because it was kind of... there wasn't really like a gradual change. And there was only really one thing I noticed that was to do with the events of the game. I love their accents. I think with Rev it was down to at least his first form. I think was surrounded in mental health, poor mental health, substance misuse, addiction. I think he was a bit of a strain to the other gang members, constantly having to, I mean, put up with him, but also come to his rescue quite a lot or get him out of trouble. Like we had that early mission with him when he was gambling. I think people cared about him, but I also think people found it quite tedious that he was always wallowing in self-pity about why his life is like this and, you know, why he is the way he is, but then would carry on doing the things that are keeping him in this situation. And then, yeah, obviously he was using up resources in the camp. He was using up like our food and alcohol, but he was never contributing. He was never going out hunting, getting food, doing jobs, not even doing chores. Excuse me. So I think the rest of the gang kind of saw him as a bit of a freeloader, and we saw like Micah would pick on him for that same reason. Obviously, Micah has that viewpoint of, you know, you need to earn your keep. You know, nobody gets handouts in life for free and stuff. So I think for Micah, it was like the worst combination was Micah and Rev, because to him, Rev was like the thing, the embodiment of what he absolutely despised in some people. I think that's how it seemed like from the outside, that Rev was just this pitiful, pathetic person who was just self-sabotaging and only had himself to blame. I think on the inside though, as often happens with mental health and addiction, it's from the outside it seems so simple and so black and white and straightforward to get yourself out of that situation. On the inside it's a whole different story. I think Rev felt quite trapped, sort of unable to pull himself out of it. Like, he didn't, if his mental health wasn't in a good way, it's very difficult to have the motivation and the strength to deal with the addiction as well. But then likewise, the addiction could have been affecting his mental health, so I think it really is a bit of a vicious cycle. And unfortunately, nobody could pull him out. Oh, where'd Theo come from? Oh, they're in the mine below, aren't they? Yeah, I feel like nobody could pull him out of it. It has to be him. But when he was in that situation, he didn't have the strength to. Where's that coming from? Hey? Oh. Maybe a bit overkill. Yeah, so I think as much as it was frustrating for the gang and frustrating for him, honestly, I feel like he just didn't know, you know, he was stuck in this hole and didn't know, he wanted to get out but didn't really know how to. And unfortunately he kind of got himself a bit stuck between his habits and yeah, his mental health into not being able to get himself out. Until I guess life gave him a bit of a wake-up call. I honestly expected after the bank robbery and Hosea dying and Lenny dying and a lot of us, you know, for all he knew, we could have also been dead. John was captured. We obviously disappeared. The Pinkertons were after them. So much bad stuff happened, and I honestly thought that would just make him spiral even further. You know, adding that much stress and strain onto somebody who's already struggling, I thought that can only go one way. That's not going to be good. However, it seemed to jumpstart his recovery, I guess. Maybe it just gave him some perspective or motivation. Maybe now that a lot of the strongest members, the fighters, had gone, he felt like it was up to him now. And you know, the gang needed him to be on form and able to pull his weight, but yeah, he just... who are you? You're here somewhere. And I guess that was the kick that he needed to roll up his sleeves and then, you know, start helping out and pulling his weight, start doing chores, being more active and healthy, making healthier choices.
You'll die by my hand.
And then of course from doing those things, that can improve your mental health. And then once his mental health improved, I hope that that helped with his addiction and his substance misuse as well. It tends to, I find habits tend to snowball one way or the other. Bad habits often lead to more bad habits. Good habits tend to lead to more good habits. If I had come back from Guarma and I'd found like Uncle doing work, I would have been proud of Uncle, because Uncle was also a bit of a bum around camp and like didn't do much. And to see him pulling his own weight when the gang needed him, you know, I'd be proud of anyone in that situation. But I was especially proud of Rev, because it's not just that he was lazy and you know, just didn't feel like doing work. To get to that point, it wasn't just a case of getting off of his bum and getting moving. He also had to... Oh, is it a possum? I was going to say, did that just die? Oh my gosh, you can skin it. What happens if I skin it when it's alive? I thought so. But for Rev, it was also a battle against his addiction and his mental health. And, you know, it was so much more difficult than just, hey, stop being lazy and do some work. And so I was extra proud of Rev, because that really was a transformation to him. It was a silver lining after everything that happened and how terrible the situation was. It did give me like a sense of relief and pride and happiness to see at least that had happened from it. I like Rev. You know, he was a bit much at times. But I'm just so glad that in the end he's made it work. He got back on his feet, he rolled up his sleeves, and yeah, he took control of his life again. I still need to read about him in the newspaper. And I'll see if I can do it here. I've got so many newspapers, I must have the one that's got him. Newspaper scrap? This wasn't really a newspaper scrap, it was a whole newspaper. Notorious bad man alive. Vandalin reported seen in tall trees. On the run 7 years. Gang members still at large. A dispatch from Tall Trees reports a sighting of infamous outlaw Dutch Vandalin, who has been on a bloody run from the law for many years now. The notorious Dutch's Boys gang. Is that what we were called? The notorious Dutch's Boys gang once plagued this state, but it was believed to have been disbanded as long ago as 1899. 2 of his henchmen, Hosea Matthews and Arthur Morgan, were both killed in separate raids by Pinkerton agents that same year. Gang members Bill Williamson, Micah Bell, John Marston and Charles Smith are still believed to be at large. A telegraph from Mexico reports that Javier Escuela is believed to reside in the mountain region there. He's in Mexico. The massive sum of money taken in the Blackwater robbery by the gang has never been recovered. It was said to have been stashed in the town somewhere after the gang escaped. Rumours that gang member Micah Bell returned to retrieve the haul still persist. The bloody days of the Vandalin gang are the stuff of legend, appearing in pulp novels and even memorialised in popular song. There's songs about us? Law enforcement have pledged to continue searching for Vandalin, who still has one of the largest bounties on his head for kill or capture. Damn. I'm guessing that's before we saw him with Micah. So Javier's in Mexico. I don't think I can go to Mexico. Ah! Reverend Swanson leads night church. Reverend Swanson leads night church, delivers powerful message. Reverend Orville Swanson was inducted into his official capacity as minister at the First Congregational Church of New York this week, having moved to the city to accept the position. A service was held and then a reception was given to celebrate the appointment. Encouraging reports from attendees indicate that Reverend Swanson delivered an impassioned and heartfelt sermon about acknowledging sin and seeking redemption. He spoke about his own break from faith, a dark period when he could not attend church, falling into sin, depravity, and wanton gluttony. He chronicled the period where he rediscovered his faith and began witnessing on street corners, to then become assistant pastor at the church in Ohio and now New York. During his recent attendance at the convention meeting of First Congregational Churches, he delivered a very moving oration, impressing attendees as an eloquent and persuasive speaker, and was almost immediately offered the position. Oh, I'm so proud of him! Oh, they chose that wording, like, deliberately, didn't they? Acknowledging sin and seeking redemption. Good choice of words there. Oh, we obviously knew he was in New York, and I was told that I'd find out more if I read the news article. Aww, Rev. I'm so proud of him. So that ties up my thoughts on Rev. So I think for him it was a battle from the start, but a battle that only he could fight and only he could win. I think he eventually did it after being motivated by the events that unfolded and the situation we ended up in. I think he did really, really well to pull himself out of that sort of darkness that he was in. And it looks like he's gone on to do great things, and it really has been left behind him. So hopefully, looking at this, it's all behind him for good. And who knows, maybe now he can use his own experience to help other people who are struggling. I think he was quite a good character to have into the game. You know, every character is different, but they all balance each other out well. And I like that it wasn't... I like that he added the layer that it didn't start with everyone being fine and then things got bad. You know, some people were already struggling, like some people are already going through their own stuff. So the next is Pearson. I don't really have a whole lot to say about Pearson. Again, he seemed quite consistent the whole way through, very reliable, he didn't really change much. I think he was one of the ones who kind of assessed the situation for himself and measured the risk of staying or going. I think he wanted to hang on as long as he could. You know, he had found a family in our group and I don't think he wanted to be out on his own. But also wanted to live. And I think, I know when Arthur talked to him in chapter 6, he was like, oh, I'm not going anywhere, I'll be here till the bitter end. And obviously he did end up leaving. I think he meant to stick it out for as long as he could, and until it just became illogical to stay. Like there was no sense in staying. I don't imagine he would have made that decision lightly, because it did mean leaving Arthur and some of the others that I think he really wanted to stick by and see everything through with. But yeah, I feel like the cons of staying just outweighed the pros in the end. I don't really know a whole lot about him, like what happened in his military days or anything. This is a proper station. Hey folks.
Partner?
Hello.
Fellas? Loving this weather we're in.
Sir?
Hey.
Hey.
Can't you act civilized?
Am I not? Benedict Point.
Got something to post?
Ooh, I do.
It'll be there before you know it.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, I obviously don't know too much about his backstory, apart from that, you know, he was in the Navy. He seemed quite proud of that. I believe it was Pearson, wasn't it, who wrote a letter to his mother, saying about how, you know, the ladies were just throwing themselves at him, but, you know, he was a bit of a stud, but he hadn't settled with anyone yet. He had to keep batting them away and stuff, which was hilarious. A lot of characters changed throughout the game with everything going on. I obviously noticed Pearson seemed a bit more stressed, a bit more strained and worried and anxious as time went by, but I didn't really notice too much difference apart from that, honestly. I think he was loyal to the gang and its members quite equally. I don't think he was super loyal to Dutch in particular. I think we were just his adopted family, and you know, he was loyal to all of us. To me, I think he was one of the few people who just was a constant and just stayed quite the same, which isn't a bad thing. It's kind of nice to have that stability and a reliable, stable personality that doesn't change too much. I did like Pearson, and to see him like happy and married and running his own store and his own business where he doesn't have to sleep rough and worry about Pinkertons riding in. Yeah, that was nice. Karen is the next on my list. As for Karen, she was a character. I quite liked her. She was so different to the other girls in camp. I liked that she picked up a gun and would take watch, because we never really saw the women fight at all, apart from Sadie. And even then, she was met with a lot of resistance to start fighting with us. Everyone was like, no, just cut vegetables instead. Oh, we're at Tumbleweed. I think that was just such a cool detail, and helped demonstrate just sort of what a strong, confident, independent character she is in a lot of ways. I don't know what her and Shaun were to each other, if it was like they were officially together, or if it was like they were seeing each other. I don't know. But there was definitely something going on between them. I've seen quite a few people comment saying that although she'd have like, she'd drink as much as anyone else in the early game, but it was when Shaun died that Karen really started hitting the bottle. You know, she obviously cared about him. She brushed him off and would say he was being annoying and that she didn't like him and he wouldn't leave her alone. But like when he died, you could tell that really affected her and she didn't know how to cope with it, and I think she used alcohol as a coping mechanism. You know, she was kind of tough. She was quite smart. Like, I think she pretty much improv'd the whole getting out of the Valentine bank robbery mission. You know, she really took the lead on that, even though Bill was there and Arthur was there, and we've done a lot more of this kind of work before. Like the train robberies and stuff, you know, she took the lead. She was very sure of herself, very confident, which was pretty cool. I actually think with enough training, I think she would have been a pretty badass gunner. Oh, look at that. It's a very burnt out, what I think used to be a church. Yeah, it looks like it was a cross. Oh! Is that the Braithwaite house? Sneaky. Not what I was expecting under a church floor. What went on here? I keep thinking, like, I wonder if something happened in Red Dead 1 and that's why it's like this, but then Red Dead 1 happens after this. So then I'm wondering, is it like this in Red Dead 1, or have they rebuilt it, or is it not here anymore? Are there...
You okay, girl? Let's go.
Are there places I'm gonna find in, like, whole buildings that when in Red Dead 1 are just ruined? Like the other way around, I wonder. Where does that go? I want to know where that goes. So yeah, I liked Karen. She was sassy, she had a lot of attitude, she spoke her mind. I know the women had quite domestic roles, again apart from Sadie, but she had to really fight for her part of like the fighter team. I mean, Mary Beth and Tilly were more passive. Abigail was a bit more sassy and stubborn, but nobody was as outspoken as Karen, apart from Mrs. Grimshaw. I don't really know much about how Karen came to be with the gang. I know it for some of the other girls, but I don't think I got Karen's story, so yeah, I can't really weigh in on that at all. Whoa. Oh, it doesn't go anywhere. Oh, I was getting all freaked out, all spooked for nothing. It's just a neat little cave. I wonder if like there's a bounty mission or something that comes here. Okay, cool. Random cave we have found. I approve. Don't run away from me. Rachel! Please.
You got this, girl.
I'm trying to think, when did Karen leave the group? I can't remember if she like left in the night with the others or if she's stuck until the very end. Like there was Tilly, Abigail, and Jack, and they all left together. See, I think Karen must have gone during the night. Because she wasn't there with the others. Hello. Aww. This is lovely. Oh, someone's wet the bed. I'm not going to steal from them. They've got a fire going, they've got food on the table. A nice bottle of something. Where are the people though? Oh, they've got a goat. Greatest of all time. From what people have told me, you can't find her. I think she's the only person you can absolutely not find. Somebody said you can possibly get a letter, I think from Tilly, saying that Karen's was last seen like in the swamps, like not in a good way. I don't know if she was drunk or depressed or sick or malnutritioned. You know, I don't know, but yeah, it sounds like things didn't pick up for her, like, and just got worse, really. Rathskeller Fork. Oh, that's a cool name.
Okay there.
Quit wasting my time, you bleeding fool.
Okay, they got chickens and goats and stuff. Maybe they're not so bad.
First I find all this damage, then I find a stranger here. Care to explain? Get the hell out of my sight!
Don't worry, your goat sorted me out.
And don't even think about coming back.
Is it a ranch then? Is it like private property? One of the strange things, unless I maybe just missed, maybe I'm just oblivious, but I never noticed her seeming to distraught about Shaun being captured, because he was presumed dead before, wasn't he? They thought Mac and Shaun had died, and then we heard he was captured. And was, oh, it's my friend, and was gonna get hung or something, and she didn't seem too phased then. Hello, my friend.
Help a blind man.
Okay, sure.
They will come for you, friend. And when they do, you will not have a choice. But you have lived better than most.
Well, okay then.
That's some foreshadowing right there.
I'm sure you've got better things to do than follow.
Yeah, Karen didn't seem too phased that I saw. To begin with, when they thought Shaun was dead, and then when he was captured but was gonna get hung. So I don't know if maybe I just missed it. I really missed a lot of the camp and gang stuff to begin with. While I was finding my feet. Or maybe they got closer since he came back, and they weren't so close before. But I mean, it was literally, I think it was like his celebration night, that it was implied that they'd like slept together and stuff. So like that was pretty fast if they weren't anything before, and then yeah, suddenly were. I was hardly in camp watching them all the time. I don't know what those little rascals got up to. So yeah, this is called like a desert mist. So yeah, I do think though it was timed perfectly with Shaun's death, but also, I mean, that was where things started to really go wrong with us. Shaun dying was the start of everything taking a really nasty turn for the gang. Like really getting out of hand and the pressure being on, so it could have been that as well. So yeah, I guess, you know, she lost someone who was potentially the love of her life. She lost her gang, her way of life. Like, her lifestyle was all turned upside down. She now has to fit into, like, a civilian lifestyle. I think that must be so difficult for all of them, because that had been their way of life. You know, they lived free. They slept under the stars, they did what they wanted. You know, they worked on their own time scale, and then to fit into, well, like we've seen John do. But even then, he's still a business owner. You know, for any of them to have to go into employment and work like 9 to 5, or yeah, having to pay a mortgage or rent or get a normal job, like Pearson did. You know, he's probably got his opening and closing hours. Like, that must be a tough transition, going from a life of so much freedom to a life of so much structure and restriction, and then just with the strain and the loss of it all. Maybe it just got too much for Karen. I hope that she didn't die, though. I hope that she's, you know, like how Rev was in a really bad way but eventually managed to pull himself out of it. I hope it could work out that way for Karen, but I don't know if it's actually canon that she died, or if she was just last seen not in a good way and it's like, it's implied that that's what happened. Oh, is that Fort Mercer? Wonder how approachable it is right now. Okay, they're not shooting at us yet.
I know that son of a bitch!
Oh,
What's got into you, girl?
can I see who they are? I can't tell if they're like military or Del Lobos. Okay, yeah, I did quite like Karen. I think she was... Ooh. Oh, this must be the Panther. Do I get it? You know what, why not? I'll probably die, but let's go after it as we're here.
Take some rest now.
I'm gonna regret this. Yeah, she was quite a boisterous character. I feel like if I knew her in real life, she'd be a bit too full on for me. There's nothing wrong with being that way, but I seem to get more drained by... What's that? There's nothing wrong with being that way, but my personality, I just get quite drained by like loud people or extroverted people or boisterous people.
You're somewhere, but where?
But I did like her. You know, you can tell she's got a big heart. She acts very tough on the outside, but I think she's just a very loving person on the inside. You know, she speaks her mind, which is a good thing. She's honest. Oh, I'm not trying to track the legendary pronghorn. Oh, it is a pronghorn. Oh, I thought I was going after the... Okay, I'm sorry. Look at these trees. Oh my gosh, it's gonna fire. Oh! Oh, I did not mean to do that. I'm so sorry. That is really mean of me. I just killed you and then just kicked your corpse. I meant to call for my horse. Wow. Oh, I thought it was just the cougar. I didn't. Not the cougar, the panther. Okay, I'm less scared. I was being a bit of a wuss then. What's going on here? Were cows pulling your wagon? Why is everything so steamy? Oh, because of the fire, I see. But they're not burnt, none of them are. And yet they're still sort of smouldering. So this area looks like it's caught fire. They don't look like they've caught fire, so they've like killed or crashed or something since. I presume? Although, actually, hold on, this wagon looks... Yeah, this wagon looks burnt. But the cows don't, the people don't, they just look like they've been dead for a long time. I want to know what happened. Tell me your secrets. And I can't like draw it. I know it's a bit of a morbid thing to draw, but normally John likes to put stuff like this in his little journal.
There's my girl.
Alright. Sure. Ooh, what's that called? Rio del Lobo Rock. Which came first, the rock or the gang? Well, like, the name for the rock. Obviously the rock came first. And I think that's all I'll say on characters for now, for this episode, because next is Dutch Van der Linde. And that's going to be a whole thing, so I'll leave it at that for today, and we can do it next time. We can carry on with our list. Vamos! Hey! Right, I saw a lady leave around the back, so I'm guessing she's a civilian. Oh, no, Michael. I swear I saw. Oh, yeah, there she is. Oh. That's good. I wasn't sure about this guy. Oh, they trashed the place. Look at them playing cards. Or maybe the people who lived here did. Oh, they have a picture on the wall. Is that the people who lived here? She looks a bit like Tilly, doesn't she? She's got the same hair. There's two elderly ladies, and an old man and a younger woman. Don't know who they are. You know, the state of these rags, like, were they sleeping here? Have they been here for a while? Have they had that, like, woman hostage here this whole time? Oh! Sneaky! Did you see how clever that was? Nice, hide it among the other cards. Well played. Almost had me. Vistas of America, card 6. The Grizzlies, Dr. Hawthorne's. You'll need to calm down. chunky horse. I can't seem to calm you down. I am so sorry. Why have I just done that twice in a row? Oh, I meant to press G to do the exact opposite of that. I just punched a horse. I feel so bad. It won't even let me calm it down. It let me punch it, but won't let me calm it. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's good to be back. Back home. So many chores to do. I may have to do them next time. Forgot about the chores today. I know there's probably no point in doing them now, but you know. You know me and chores. It's good to be home.
Yeah, I know, Mom.
Your dad saved them.
I know.
Quite a father you got there.
I know.
What's that about?
Well, well.
Quite a father, you said.
Yeah, well. I thought twice now.
No, no. You said it. Good. Well, you take care now.
All right.
Dog's fine. He was lucky you found him.
I should have done better. Been less of a kid.
You are a kid.
Don't mind me.
Okay, then.
You're allowed to be a kid. Aww. That's because of Rufus. Hey, boy.
All right, Rufus.
Hey. Right, pat, don't kick, don't punch.
Good boy, Rufus.
Can't believe I did that. Oh, he's got his little food and drink bowl. Cute. Right, I'm gonna go and see if I can sleep in my own bed. Now I know that there's a way. Ah! Okay, so you press Q and it toggles between travel and bed. So sleep, is it too early? Let's just sleep for 16 hours. It's been we've travelled a lot and I didn't rest in the desert. I was hoping for a cutscene. Maybe you don't get it every time. Oh, she's still sleeping. Morning!
Hey there.
What is it?
You're okay. That's all I wanted to know.
John, I'm tuckered out.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was mean. Maybe if I go to bed when she's already here? No, okay. We'll try again next time. Maybe we'll go to bed at a normal time, like at night. We'll have the evening meal, and then we'll go to bed. And then we'll see. At least I know I can sleep, though. I don't have to set up a camp on my own ranch. Okay, time's getting on, so I think it's time to sign off.
Good girl. Let's go.
Because I need to get this edited. Is he dead?
What are you doing?
Shh. You'll wake him.
Heard a buffalo wouldn't wake him up.
are you looking at me like that? Sir, is something the matter with you?
Can't you take a joke?
Good one, Dad.
Hey.
Oh, good lord. Let an old man sleep.
Oh, good. You can go back to sleep now.
I need to get some shut-eye.
What they like. Okay, I'm all done for the day. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Thank you so much for putting up with me talking a lot. I think even when I edit it down, I think this is going to be a lot of me talking. My throat hurts a little bit, so I know I probably talk too much, but I was just so excited to start getting into unpicking my thoughts on each character, because each character is so real and unique and different. You know, they're not just any NPC, so I really wanted to give them their own time to, you know, at the forefront. And yeah, and it's been really fun. I hope you don't mind, but I've enjoyed myself. So we've done Micah, Strauss, Bill, Rev, Pearson, and Karen. Next, we are starting with Dutch, which I feel like there's just so much to say about Dutch. So I feel like, yeah, I wanted to end before we got into that, because I'd be here all night otherwise, and I am really keen to hear any additions to what I said that... Hello, cat. Any additions to what I said that you may want to add to it, contribute. Anything I said you didn't agree with, or you think maybe I've overlooked something or misunderstood something. You know, if your view is very different, I'd love to hear your thoughts on each character. You know, it's subjective. There really is no right or wrong. So yeah, feel free to say like totally different things to what I said, because that's what I love, is seeing all these different perspectives and angles people take. So yeah, all this time I've been like, oh, I can't wait for this Evelyn Miller mission to move on, and it did. And it wasn't as great as I was hoping. Like, it was good, but it wasn't a happy ending. But I didn't expect to find him dead. I joked about it, I think. Was it last time or the time before? I think I joked about, like, oh, what happens if I don't feed him? Will he just die without me, or something like that? Please let me know if anybody knows whether it was because I took too long to feed him, or bring him food, or if it was because, what is Jack shearing a sheep? I think Jack is shearing a sheep. What a clever boy. Cool. Sorry, yes, please let me know if that was guaranteed to happen no matter what, or if it's because I took too long to get to Evelyn Miller. And that was like one of two ways it could have gone. Like, if I had responded straight away rather than stalling a bit. Yeah, if maybe he would have been alive and fine. I really hope that it couldn't have gone any other way. I think that's our last... Is that our last Stranger mission now for the whole game? I know we've got the collectibles, but I think in terms of actual Stranger missions, I think that's the last one from what people have said. We did get to explore a good amount of New Austin this time, and actually start going into places and fighting the Del Lobos. There was nothing too significant about it so far. There was, you know, some interesting abandoned shacks and stuff, but, you know, it's kind of fun just to explore and check it out. And there's some interesting places like that church, that ruined church. Oh, seeing Evelyn Miller's cabin burn was, like, weirdly interesting. Just seeing how it all, like, started to crumple and fold. This is Spice joining us as I say goodbye. Say hi, Spice. Oh. So it's been quite a nice, calm episode. I've just sort of taken it at my own pace. We did get our legendary pronghorn, and I'm pretty sure there's the legendary panther? Yeah, panther. Down in Yorston as well, which is what I thought it was going to be, so I've still got that to do. I'm a bit afraid of when I end up doing that. Oh, I didn't go back and see the Devil Man, did I? I'll have to do that next time and see what he says and see if I can go and meet him. Yeah, we've still got quite a few things to do. Oh, we did a bounty as well, didn't we? That was good. I need to figure out this vampire situation in Saint Denis. We've still got the graves, the statue puzzle. Oh, I can tick off Evelyn Miller and Tall Trees, because I'm pretty sure there's not going to be another Evelyn Miller mission, seeing as he's dead. Treasure maps. We didn't find Nigel, but that's okay. He'll show up again. He always does. And Bigfoot. I'm going to try for the next couple of episodes going through the gang members. And I imagine we've only got a handful of episodes to go now. While I tie up those last bits. Still let me know if there's anything else you'd like to pick my brains about or would like me to talk about. Or to do in these wrap-up episodes. What? Sorry, am I ignoring you? Am I ignoring? You've got to share me. You have to share me with the internet sometimes. It's the way it is. So rude interrupting me. Look at his little owl. Get it. Good boy. So I want to really type everything I can here. I'm not going to go for 100% completion. I'm not really a completionist gamer anyway. I never have been. But I'm just gonna keep doing the things that interest me for as long as I find it fun. Anything that starts to feel too tedious, I'm not going to do. But there's still a lot of things I'm very curious about, and I think I'll find very fun. I'm really enjoying like what I have been doing, so there's still definitely some stuff to go. Okay, yeah. So, thank you for listening to me for however long this episode ends up being. I hope you've had fun. I have. And I will see you next Sunday. So take care of yourselves until then, Outlaws. I'll see you in a week. Take care. Bye-bye.